Hey everybody, it's Jorik. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well and having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. As you know, I talk about Portugal, moving and living here, and I throw in a bunch of travel shorts of our trips along the way. Today I wanted to get right into it and talk about medical costs, going to the doctor. What are some of the actual costs here in Portugal? I get a number of people that make comments in some of the videos asking questions about costs or insurance carriers, and then with consulting calls, some people want to know specifically what are some of the prices when you go in for services rendered. So I wanted to make this video just showing you some real numbers and some real data. So I went in recently for an annual exam. I'm at the age where I need to go in every year and make sure everything is working properly. So office visit, had blood work done, EKG, also had some ultrasounds done, and then a follow-up visit. So I wanted to go through quickly and show you what I did, what the costs are. At the top of this, I want to make sure that you realize I am saying this having private insurance as opposed to using the SNS or the public system. We have Medish. Many people have options. There's several options for private healthcare, but it's Medish, and we use the Cuf Tejo Hospital, which is the hospital closest to us for all of our services. So just to make sure that you realize that this is the insurance we used and the location. But I went in initially for the consult just to say, hey, it's this time of the year, I need an annual exam, let's go through and start this process. So having that initial office visit with the doctor ended up being 36 euros and 50 cents. So as you can see here, this is it. This is the bill that was sent for that service. It's copay, so many of you, I'll say that maybe watching this video that are from the US, there's no such thing as a deductible and co-insurance here. It's really copays only on the private insurance, and 36.50. So some of you, depending on where you are in the world, I want you to look at this and hopefully comment below and say, as you see these prices, how do these compare to where you are in the greater world? And as you're thinking of moving to Portugal, how does this relate? Next up is blood work. So as you can see here, I'm just giving you basically everything that was checked for me. It was, I would say, a full CBC panel, so a comprehensive blood work that was done. And that whole analysis was a little over 17 euros for that in total. So pretty good deal in my opinion. That's fantastic compared to what I was paying for routine blood work on either an annual exam or a physical back in the United States. So again, like to know where you are in the world, how does this relate? Next up, had an EKG done, and just to make sure everything with the ticker was working right. And with that, going through, you're looking at less than 22 euros. It was a couple of different tests that were done. There were 3 different tests done, all within, let's say, a 45-minute period. And so with doing just a resting EKG, a treadmill EKG, and then another one with a specialist, not bad for less than 22 euros. I thought that was ridiculously cheap. Now I will say where I've come from in the US, depending on what type of insurance I've had over the years, I'll say an annual visit and a physical and all of this was covered in some cases. In other cases, it could be several hundred euros for this, or American dollars for this, compared to equated to euro dollars. Next up, I had some MRIs done, so ultrasounds, on abdomen, and I'll say the middle section of body to make sure things were in proper working order and to get some analysis. So those 3 different exams were done, and all of those total were less than 38 euros for all of them put together. So I thought, again, that was pretty amazing for what services were rendered, what happened, and then getting the results, and the fee much less than what I was paying back in the States, unless I had a plan that, let's say, physicals were covered. So where you are in the world, how does this stack up and compare to what you're used to. Are physicals free and all of this stuff is covered where you live, or do you have to pay out? And if you do, how does this compare? And then lastly, I had a follow-up exam with the same doctor. Follow-up exam, I apologize. It was a consultation just to go over all of the markers here and the readings, just to see from a prognosis and diagnosis, is there anything I need to work on for next year? So with that, 17 euros, 17.50 for that visit. It's about half of what the initial consult was. Now, personally, when I go in to see a doctor, I've gone in for several reasons in the last 3.5 years. The visit's usually 35 to 37 euros. Sometimes the follow-up, if I need to go back because it's maybe only a 10, 12-minute meeting, it's generally half price. Not always. But in this particular case, each time I've gone in for an annual physical, it's been half price. So I thought that this would be a good video, because that way you're seeing actual bills and numbers, kind of not showing you in the video any of my personal information, but I'll show you what was prescribed as far as the EKG, the ultrasound, the blood work, and the office visit for my physical. So if you're looking at, for, let's say, an annual basis, if you're going in to make sure that everything's working properly every 12 months, this is what you could expect. Again, stating having private insurance. I think other insurance like Serenity and whatnot, from what I'm understanding, are similar in nature, the cost. And then we use the cuff system, and we have a Cuff-Tejo hospital. It's only a 10-minute walk from our flat, so works out pretty well. So hopefully this gives you some tangible evidence. Sometimes you read articles and you see posts, but you don't always get actual information. I wanted to give you straight from the horse's mouth, meaning Cuff-Tejo and their billing department. Here's what I did, here's the cost. So hopefully that helps when you're making a determination, trying to figure out what your budget's going to look like in Portugal and what you might go in for. I'll see some routine services. Here's what you can expect to pay. As always, thank you so much for checking out the channel and continuing your support, and enjoy your travels.